Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is doing well. As always, guys, I hope everyone is doing good. Make sure you do check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free to join. I've dropped a link to that at the top of the chat, and you can find it in the description there as well. But completely free to join. Discount opportunities will be available there. They are available there. So make sure you go check it out if you are looking to purchase a challenge with Elevating Traders. That is completely free to join. And of course, you can join discussions, share trading opportunities with myself and other traders as well. So if you are interested, make sure you check it out. But guys, welcome back to the stream. Karis, what is up? Good morning. Good morning. Make sure you like and subscribe and hit the bell and all that lovely stuff if you are enjoying the content here. So we've seen some momentum since we last spoke. USD, yen, maybe some other markets a little bit, but more specifically USD and yen. We're seeing a bit of a strong dollar, well, a continuation of that strength. Nothing has kind of changed. The market's still pushing up, but we are trading at some areas where I do think dollar can probably provide some resistance and possibly see some downside at some point. So I am pretty interested in taking dollar in the opposite direction. And with yen, we saw some more strength, and I have been knocked out my pan yen trade finally. That chestnut has been cracked, and the market did take out my stop loss this morning. It has pulled back a little bit, but in all honesty, I'm not really interested in jumping in pound yen right now. We may still be looking to sell off, but because you've lost that high and the market slowly crept higher, I do think we'll have a push down, but it may not be the move I'm looking for in terms of the big continuation of that move in July. It may be more of a correction for price to find some support somewhere and potentially continue higher. I'm looking at other yen pairs as well. Swiss yen really committing to the upside as well. We've used this as support as well. So if that continues, that for me is bullish structure. And at that point, I'm no longer looking for that big sell. And at that point, we're probably more likely to come back into the high up there eventually, or at least make our way in that direction. So it does look like some of the yen pairs are switching around, and I have to rethink my bias for a few of them. And typically the yen pairs do move in the same direction. So if I'm changing my bias for a few of them, I probably would be changing my bias for all of them at some point in time. But Swiss yen definitely looking like it's breaking higher. CAD yen not quite yet. I mean, we saw a bullish move yesterday, bullish close yesterday, but haven't really committed above this high yet. But if we're going to follow what Swiss yen is doing, what pound yen is trying to do as well, then we possibly could see that breakout. And if that does happen, then yeah, I'll definitely be looking for buys and scrapping that bearish bias, at least for now. What's up, Holy One? Welcome to the stream. Good morning, Will. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, with the yen pairs, it does look like we're seeing a bit of strength now. It's a little bit. It hasn't really set the world alight because we're still kind of stuck in some consolidations, really. Again, with euro yen, you can see the range there. We saw momentum to the upside yesterday, which is great, but we're now just trading back at the high. So price does really need to break through the high here to really commit to that bullish bias. More importantly, take up the high here on the left for me to swap that bias around. And then, yeah, I can be looking at some long opportunities and some retests like so. But until I see a move like that happen, I'm not interested in the buys. If anything, we're still at resistance and still potentially could sell off. It's just I'm thinking, okay, if some of the yen pairs are already making their moves higher, possibly we're going to see the other yen pairs follow. So that's kind of what I'm anticipating. But we'll see. Things can change around very, very quickly. Bank of Japan can just do something and then the whole market's falling apart. So things can change quickly. But yeah, I'm not looking to get back into a yen pair straight away. Especially if you do see those breaks higher. Okay, GJ open 29 days. That's what I said, not sell. Yeah, with my confirmations, I always look to get in a little bit earlier because I'm getting right at the high, so maximize my risk to reward. But of course, if you're looking at moving averages like that, you would stay above the moving averages, and then you can use that when it does cross to get back in your favor. That's a nice way of kind of looking to get into the market once things are really confirmed and you get the cross. Of course, you enter a little bit later, but then again, you could probably miss out on losses as well. So they could make up for it. But yeah, GJ is slowly pushing up. and the other yen pairs looking like they're slowly following. I need the break of the highs first before I really can commit to the bullish bias, especially for pairs like CAD yen, Euro yen, New Zealand yen, especially still trading below that high. It's just if we are going to break high on some of the yen pairs, there's a good chance we probably can break high on all of them as well. So I'll wait for that to happen. And if we do see some strong breaks, yep, I will have to rethink that bias around. But that's the thing about trading. You can have one bias, potentially price doesn't play out, and then it could give you another opportunity in the opposite direction. You can catch some nice trades going the other way as well. So the key thing is having that bias and having those things that keep you in that bias, but also having those things that take you out of the bias as well, and give you opportunities regardless where prices go. So if I'm going to look for buying opportunities and have that bullish bias, this breakout here is the move I'm looking for. That is really the move I'm looking for there. But we'll go through the yen pairs as a whole, see what they're looking at, see what confirmation I'm waiting for. Then we'll go through some USD pairs as well. What's up, UD? Good morning. Okay, we'll take a look at some CHF pairs as well. So yeah, with the yen pairs, as I said, Swiss yen is definitely leading the way in terms of this bullish momentum. Really strong move to the upside, breaking through the high here on the left, and most importantly, now looks like we're using it as support to continue higher, as just this morning we're really breaking through the high there as well. So that to me looks like price is continuing this bullish move here, and we're probably likely to continue that back to the high unless something crazy was to happen. We'll shoot back down. The fact that is we broke a structure, use that as support as well, is a real strong sign to me that the market has still got some more mileage left. So really with Swiss yen, this is probably not the most attractive one for a buy for me. But if we keep it up, maybe some nice buys could come around on a retest somewhere or retest the high again. Possibly that could be something I'm looking at. But if Swiss yen keeps up this bullish structure on the daily, yeah, I am looking for a swing possibly back to that high. Again, I won't be looking for a trade all the way there, but I'll see how far it can take me. But yeah, what I can definitely say is that we do have some bullish structure at play, which is broken through that high very impressively. So I'm going to keep an eye on that, see how far we go, because I'm not going to look to buy just yet. But definitely a strong sign. Dollar yen pushing into 152. This is still a very big level for me and an area where I think at least we could expect retracement for dollar yen. We might not see the full swing in that big right shoulder form in terms of, if I can get where is it again? There we go. In terms of the big left head and right shoulder, we might not get that right shoulder there. We might see price kind of react, maybe push a quarter or a third or half the way, and maybe push up if the yen pairs are still going to trend higher. We might not see the full swing, but it could still be a nice area to look for shorts regardless. Of course, we'll see how price reacts when we get there. We're still moving pretty correctively, so I like how price is moving. In this kind of corrective manner. This is not typically sustainable price action, so I do expect us to have that drop at some point. And yeah, it might just be price to find support and then continue higher. So that could be the play, but regardless, that move is probably still a move worthwhile to take. So we'll see how price reacts with that area. Things look good. I'll start speaking about some shorts when we're there. Of course, we've still got a bit of a way to go, but I do think we'll end up there sooner or later in the next coming days. So dollar yen still looking for shorts 152. If we break through 152, then yeah, I might have to scrap that bearish bias altogether, but that's still a very significant level for me. Dollar yen looks like we're trying to break higher, still stuck in that same consolidation, but again, it does look like we're using this area as support as well. And if we are going to break to the upside like so, similar to what Swiss yen is doing, that'll tell me, okay, the buy's already here to stay. And we can probably see some more upsides. I'll probably start looking at these areas as targets. Again, possibly we can be talking about swing high up there, but it's just so far away and no one's really looking to take advantage of that move in one trade, most likely, unless you're just going to hold for possibly a few months. So these are realistic areas where we could be pushing towards 102.7, 104.741. So if you do get some breaks of these areas, retest, and these kind of where you're looking to take those targets or expecting price to get to at least. So yeah, it really does depend on the breaks of the highs or the lows if we're going to reverse. Because that break to the downside is still definitely a potential, still a possibility, something like that, or something like that. You just have to wait for price to commit. So I'm not looking to buy straight away. Still need a little bit more from the yen pairs, but it looks like we're leaning towards that direction. New Zealand yen, same thing as well. Big consolidation, price is still floating inside of it. If we can see a strong break of the high, great. Then we can start discussing opportunities like this. But equally so, that break to the downside could still be there as well. So that's why I'm waiting for the confirmations, and then I'll look to follow that momentum higher. Euro yen, same thing as well. Still trading at the high, still could see a big sell or potentially a big breakout. If we do, probably start looking at some of these areas over there. Nice swing low. Could see price come back and retest that as resistance at some later stage as well. But yeah, waiting for these consolidations to end, to break out, and then we can start discussing them in a bit more detail. Pound yen, this one's kind of already committed to the upside because of that kind of corrected push up, but equally so, I need a lot more downside. I think buys look good around here, but yeah, I'm not interested in getting involved up there. And then CAD GM still waiting for the breakout. So with the yen pairs, there could be some nice swings in terms of the buys, just not quite there yet. Maybe by the end of the week, we could discuss that. I've had a look at the news. There's not a lot of news this week, really. I don't remember seeing any news regarding the yen, at least scheduled on the economic calendar. So yeah, it could be a quiet week, but we'll wait and see. We've got the elections coming up soon, so maybe that's where we're going to get a really nice end to the year with momentum, but we'll see. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the USD pairs, waiting for those breakouts, and then I can start looking for some actual opportunities. But right now, I'm just going to wait for a little bit more information. In terms of the USD market, so USD, we did see a bit more strength yesterday. I've talked about this 104, 104.5 area as a big level where we could see price top out at resistance and see some downside. And we've sort of just come and kissed that level. So I do think there is definitely room to the downside now for price to retrace because the dollar's been so bullish for the past 2, 3, 4 weeks here. And the market is very stretched. So I do think at the very least, we'll see a pullback. How far that pullback goes, that's a separate question. I have pointed out this area here, which is kind of the start of this ascending channel. Typically, when price does break out the channels, we do come back to the origin of the channel. So that's kind of where I'm looking at 102.4. But yeah, it's probably a pullback. So I wouldn't be so confident with the shorts that they're going to completely bleed, especially when we're trading such a choppy market conditions as well. It's always difficult to hold a position for long in these conditions. But the key point, the significant point is that we are trading at some major resistance now for dollar. And I do think we can start to find some resistance now. And looking at Euro USD as well, as we do approach the low here, I do think this is a nice place where we can look for some buys. Again, judge how price reacts, but I do think we're going to see some upside for Euro. And again, it might just be to top out, put that lower high and continue, whether it's from the top here or maybe this area up here. That'll be up to Euro. That's what I'm looking for. So buys around 1.079 and maybe some sells around 1.095, 1.1, but we'll discuss that when we get to that. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at for USD. Kind of the same thing with most of the USD pairs as well, but really a lot of momentum there yesterday on the dollar. Okay, what's the BRICS news about? But yeah, of course, that could definitely move the market as well. What's up, Tom? Welcome to the stream. Afternoon. Oh, you got taken out the trade. I thought you were still in the position, Tom. Did you get trailed out break even, or did you exit early? I mean, it was some nice movement because I remember you were holding some positions, I think around here actually. So yeah, we did see some nice upside, but yeah, again, not every position is going to be with you as well. That's a part of trading. Again, that's one of the things that people um, query about with going to break even, because sometimes going to break even does stop you capitalizing on some trades that go in your favor, but just have larger pullbacks. Break even is not something to maximize rewards; it's something to minimize loss. But unfortunately, that's going to happen, to everyone really. But it was a nice trade anyway. Nice momentum, really nice momentum picking up. But yeah, there's always the next trade on the horizon. Always the next trade. But yeah, in terms of the rest of the USD pairs, so euro, I'm looking for the buy there. Hence the USD. This one I'm not really interested in because number one, it's very, very choppy. Number two, broke through my level a couple of weeks back now, which I said I was looking to long from. It broke through that, so I'm not really interested in the price anymore. And because it's kind of just coming into that bigger consolidation, the only other place which I see fit in terms of longs is definitely the buy here at 0.58792, which is a long, long way away. So at this particular price in these areas, I'm not interested. I'm expecting a pullback at some point because the market is quite stretched. I'm expecting dollar to retrace as well. It's just not a buy that I'm willing to take when euro looks a lot better. Pound USD looks like it's trying to break through the low. It looks like it is breaking through. It's just not the most cleanest or confident break you'll see. But the key thing with pound as well is that we're still trading in this descending channel, which is something I pointed out yesterday and last week as well, is that if we are going to hold into this low and price is going to reject this point here, I do want to see price commit outside of that descending channel. That will tell me, okay, momentum's kicked in again, or likely it's going to push higher. Remaining in the channel is more of a bearish sign, and we may still have room to the downside as well, especially if we're definitely breaking through that low. So pound USD is giving me all bearish vibes. Again, even if you do break through the low here, at some point you're probably going to get that pullback. It just means that, okay, we've broken through structure. So if we do see some upside, it's probably a pullback for the market to continue going lower. Same thing I said for euro. It's probably a push for the market to continue going lower. Of course, pound, euro, very, very similar markets. So they probably do the same thing. So yeah, probably looking at something like that for pound. Probably something like that for the USD as well. Something like that for dollar CAD, but in the opposite direction. Dollar CHF, not really interested with this one, to be honest. Very, very choppy market, but it's had a nice bounce off that low. Next kind of main area of value is coming back into the high up there. That could be a nice place for a short. We'll see how we do if we can get there first. But yeah, not really interested in dollar CHF, to be honest. And the Aussie dollar, I still like the low here. Let me draw a bit more accurately. Okay, it's just about coming to it. Nice reaction, probably early hours of the morning, close at 6 there. So not a bad reaction there. Similar situation to pound USD as well. If you can see price commit outside that channel, that's when we'll probably get the big move to the upside. But all in all, I am kind of short / medium term bullish on the USD pairs because I do think dollar we're going to see some downside soon. Maybe dollar's not quite ready yet to fall, but I do think we're trading at the prices where we probably will see some downside. Now it's just about timing it right. I understand what the bricks are. I was just wondering what the news was about. Like, are they making some type of deal, or what the news is regarding? Okay, taking out 1 hour profit. Well, you can't complain. Profit's profit. Profit's profit. I think you managed the trade well because, of course, you can't really decide that on the outcome whether you did the right thing or not. Of course, it's very easy to do so, but you want to always base your actions on pre-planned, you know, pre-planned strategies, pre-planned methods. So if you followed your plan, you moved your stop loss to break even, trailed to 1 hour profit, when you were supposed to do, and it made sense to do so. And then situations like this will of course come around, but you just have to focus on the actions you did, and if it did make sense according to your plan. If you did that correctly, then all you have to do is pat yourself on the back and go again. Because there will be trades that trail yourself out for 1 hour profit, but they just keep melting and they would have taken you out for a loss. So, there's that situation as well. It's just, of course, a little bit annoying when you do see price continue in your favor. But that's trading for you. Harry, with Aussie dollar, as I mentioned, looking for a bounce at the low, which is 0.66466. A lot of sixes there. If we can break out this descending channel, I do think that could be a nice confirmation for a long. And in terms of targets, I'm looking at this 0.68 area, which is this high here. Again, another possible head and shoulder pattern, something like this, and then we get the sell. Again, with Aussie dollar, because the markets are just quite choppy, it's definitely not a position which you want to hold too long for, because if we do, there's that possibility price can reverse against you. If price is trending well, you can afford to hold positions a little bit longer because momentum's on your side, the trend's on your side, price is likely to continue in your favor. But with condition like this, anything is really possible. So as we approach significant levels of support resistance, whether you're trading stops or taking partials or some type of management technique will definitely be beneficial. So with Aussie dollar, I like the longs back to 0.68, and then maybe we get a big swing back again. Something similar with pounds, might get a pullback, form a lower high somewhere, and then drop. Similar for euro as well. Get a pullback, form a lower high somewhere, and possibly drop as well. So something like that for the dollar too. So that's kind of where I'm at with the USD pairs. Of course, gold and silver, completely different situation, because these guys are just doing what they want right now and looking very, very bullish. So not really concerned what the DXY is doing when I'm talking about gold and silver. I'm just more specific on the price action in terms of gold and silver, because the trend is just very, very strong. And if you can get some retests from these highs, I'll be very interested in some longs. I'm just hoping they don't kind of leave us behind a little bit, because they could very, very much do that. Hopefully you can see some pullbacks, retest the high there and get some longs. Silver, retest the high there and get some longs as well. Yes, what's up, CS integrated? DXY is looking at that 104.230 area, as you mentioned yesterday. So it's back at that level now. So possibly it could be the time to see some downside for the dollar, and of course some upside for euro and pound and those other markets as well. So DXY is at a nice level where we could see some resistance again. We have to wait for price to give us that reaction to indicate that we are about to sell off, because of course we could break through the level as well. Nothing's 100%. But what I can say is that we are still very corrective in this ascending channel. So I'm still expecting the market to tip over at some point. The reaction we got is a little bit, what's the word? A little bit tame, not really much momentum, especially with such a big push. So it might mean that we have another push to the upside a little bit, maybe this afternoon. But if we can see a real shift in momentum, a real turn in momentum, so that bullish momentum maybe this afternoon kind of just tops out resistance, we see some nice wicks and a big bearish engulfing candle to the downside, that would be a nice sign. Okay, market's finding resistance, struggling to break 104. At this point, we might get that turnaround. So dollar is at that 104 area, testing it very, very well. Just need to see that kind of indication, that momentum shifting, and that we're likely to turn. But I think that is still likely the move price will end up making, because again, very, very corrective move. Typically, we do see these guys top over again on average. But still waiting for that kind of real indication that we're rejecting this area well. And then when that happens, we'll probably get some nice buys in euro at the same time, maybe pound as well. Depends what markets you're looking at. I'm more kind of focused with euro at the low. I think euro looks the best to me as we come back into 1.078. But again, I'm looking at this as more of a short-term trade now. And then I think the sells will be the bigger move. So I'll probably be looking for a buy to sell down lower. So yeah. Okay, right. Okay, Orange Folder says it all. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we'll keep an eye on that because that just depends on the outcome of the meeting, isn't it? It's not like a rate has been announced, so everything is gonna go into chaos. It depends on the outcome of that meeting. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the PA, I'm just gonna wait to see how price reacts to that. Let me see, when is that meeting specifically? Is that, because you said that the last 2 days? Is it starting today or another point this week? Yeah, I can't see it on my calendar. Maybe I'm just blind. But yeah, when does that meeting start, or has it started already? Oil is pushing. Okay, we'll take a look at that. In fact, we'll go through some other markets. We'll take a look at some indices, oil as well. Of course, only one. It may not move the market at all. It may cause a lot of movement. That's for the market to decide and wait for us to react. But as a technical trader, I'm always going to be focused on the PA and how that looks. If things change and the PA changes as well, then of course I will look to investigate and reanalyze. But the price action is the main indication for me. So that's where my focus will lie, and the markets will price in what it needs to price in. But yeah, we'll go through CHF pairs, and then we'll take a look at some of the other markets indices and some commodities as well. I remember someone mentioned Aussie CHF. So yeah, Aussie CHF, I'm still bearish on. I was trailed out for this one, break even last week. Can't remember which day. But I was trailed out last week, and I'm still bearish. I'm still looking for more downside back into that low, and maybe eventually the wick low there as well, because I do think we'll probably take out the all-time low here, which we almost did with this wick. Got very, very close, but I think price is eventually going to do that job for us. So long-term bias is still very much bearish, and of course the trend is very much down as well. So a bit self-explanatory on the higher time frames. But in terms of looking for the swing, I have been looking for the retest of this area here for a sell. Nice rejection, just never really got going, to be honest. It was a nice push, but then we just got very, very choppy and started moving sideways again. So it's been a complicated one with Aussie CHF, but in terms of the overall bias, it's pretty simple for me. I'm looking for sells. It's just, in terms of finding re-entries, I don't want to be looking to re-enter here. If I'm finding re-entries, I want price to push back up into the high, and then I'll look for entries again in the 4 hour. I'm not really looking to try and look for entries in the middle of the range. That's where the most indecision, that's where the most kind of chaos is in the market, and very easy to get wicked out there, or it's easier to get wicked out in those areas than if you're up high. So with Aussie CHF, I like the sells still from the same level, 0.5860. It was major support here. We end up breaking through that and coming back for a really nice retest. So that was great to see. And I'm also looking for a similar move, but I need price to be trading up there again. Maybe a big double top could form, and then we can speak about some shorts shortly after as well. So still very bearish on the CHF. If we are just going to break higher and the market is going to push to the upside, then I want price to be trading. I want price to be trading above this level here, and then I'll discuss the longs and probably talk about push back into the highs up there around 0.61605. So there's possibility in both directions for Aussie CHF. It really depends on what we do with this level. So far, we're holding pretty well as resistance, and because the high time frames are bearish as well, things are still lining up to the downside for me, and that's why I look for that swing trade. And I'm still looking for it if we were to get back up there again. But if things was to change and price was to break this area here at 0.586, and at that point, we're putting in some higher highs and higher lows, then of course I'll reinvestigate and probably start looking for some entries as entries for some longs and possibly a swing back into the high there, which is 0.61. So either way, Aussie Jeff can give us some really nice meaty moves. It's just about timing it, catching the correct trade. So yeah, I really want price to push up there, see how price reacts. If we hold as a sell, great. If we break through, then the buy. But typically, I'm still pretty bearish on the CHF pair. So until things change, I'm naturally looking for more downside. Euro CHF is another one of them. Still looking for a push back into the low here at 0.925. Again, expanding to the higher time frames. You can see how clear cut that bearish trend is. So just naturally looking for that to continue. Nothing special. There's a good chance we'll probably come back and retest that low, maybe break through it as well. But again, the main issue I've had with Euro CHF is that it's just incredibly choppy. So trying to find some entries for that move is very, very difficult. I talked about the retest of this area here. That to me looks like the best place for the shorts. Of course, maybe a bit of hindsight there, but if I'm going to take a short, sort of always going to be on a support resistance like this. And yeah, I would expect us to break lower. It's just now, if you want to find some entries, you've got to deal with all this noise here. So yeah, that's what I don't like. I mean, we are kind of holding on to this kind of trend line here, so you could probably base some shorts up there. But you have to be looking at managing the trade, managing the trade as we come back into that low, because prices be holding as support very, very well. So that could definitely push price back up against you. Say you caught a nice short up the high, nice move down, we find support again, and then bye-bye your profits. We push back up. So although there's a good chance we'll eventually break lower, it's just about when that will happen. We could consolidate for another 2 weeks for all we know. So it's just not the best opportunity. Maybe if we were to push back up into the high again at 0.948, at least we can get a solid entry and base a nice stop loss above that, something like that, and possibly catch that swing with a much better risk reward as well. So that possibility is something that could interest me. I mean, Euro CHF is not my favorite pair, but something like that could interest me. Just in here, way too noisy, so I'd stay away. But naturally, still bearish with Euro Swiss. CAD CHF, similar boat as well. Looking for a push back into the low. As we can see, we've got a lovely high up here. If we could get pushed there, I think that'll be a nice place for some shorts. Again, I'll probably look for some entries on the 4 hour. And then, yeah, look for the same move. Nice little stop loss above the high. That way I kind of miss out on all of this noise, which I do not want to participate in. And then, again, my risk reward's even better as well if it does play out too. So 2 birds, 1 stone, really, just by waiting and see if we can get pushed to the high. And that's the key thing. We may or may not get it. As a trader, you just have to wait for the opportunity to arise. And sometimes it never does, but there's always another opportunity around the corner. So if it doesn't, don't want to be too emotional about it. Pound CHF, again, naturally looking for a similar move back into the low here. Really, really big level of support. If I drag that across, you can see massive support in this area. And I'm looking for us to retest it again. It just was so corrective. Yeah, I probably will just not waste my time at all with Pound CHF, really. Way too choppy. Again, in terms of the bias, it's bearish, but I wouldn't look to short. Even the past kind of year, price action hasn't been great either. So yeah, just not a big fan of the pair. If I'm looking to get involved, it would again be a push back into the high. I can get a nice stop loss above it, look for entries down the 4 hour, and take my shorts. Again, maximize the risk rewards, better entry, better stop loss, just a better trade in general. But anything inside this area here just becomes very difficult to work with. So not a big fan of pound CHF. Aussie CHF we just spoke about, and New Zealand CHF is actually the odd one out because we're actually trading, well, we're near enough trading to some big levels of support where I'd actually expect to see some retracement and some upside. Although the market has been very bearish, we're now coming back into a low, which if it holds, I do think we can push right back up to some highs up here. Again, the bigger move still may be to the downside, but now's not the time to be shorting, especially coming into that low. So there could be some nice buys there, but I'm not really interested at the moment. So in general, very bearish on the CHF pairs, not ends the CHF because it's close to support, but just not seeing really good opportunities to trade it. So yeah, I mean, CHF pairs are not the smoothest pairs anyway, so they do give some nice opportunities, but they're few and far in between. You have to wait a while before a nice setup, especially when the swing side of things comes along. Okay, day one summit, and tomorrow it's day two and final. Okay, well, yeah, we'll see how that reacts because you have to wait for the outcome of that meeting really to see how it affects the market. But as I said, very technical traders. I'm just going to wait for the price action to tell me what's going on, and then we'll go from there. No problem, UD. Happy to help. Thoughts on yen, well, Swiss yen. As I mentioned with Swiss yen, I expect price to continue pushing higher now because not only have we broken through this high, but we've actually used it as support as well. So at that point, it does look like price is going to continue higher. And at that point, we could be looking at a push back to the high there, 180. I was looking for a big bearish swing, but because we've broken through that, it doesn't look like it's holding. Looks like we're probably going to push in the opposite direction. So I'm slowly shifting my bias to bullish. I'm not really looking to take any trades just yet because I need a little bit more upside, a bigger pullback before I can look to buy. It's all a little bit too premature for me. But if you're on intraday time frames, I think if you can wait for a retest of either the high here or even better if we were to come back all the way into the low there as well. We held it as resistance and then support there recently. I think that's a nice place for a buy as well. Solid place for a stop loss. And again, looking to catch that turning point in the market. So with Swiss yen, it does look like we're going to see more upside. So I would be bullish. I'm still waiting for a little bit more before I start to look for my swing positions. But if I'm on an intraday time frame, I would be looking at the buys because that's the trend that's at play really well in the lower time frame. So 173.4 and 172 look the best to me in terms of opportunities. Let me know what you're looking at for Swiss yen as well. It does look like the yen pairs are trying to push higher. Still needs a lot more from them before I start looking to buy, but it looks like they're trying to push higher. Okay, so we'll go through some indices. And we'll take a look at oil as well, because I know Will is still looking for shorts on oil. And it does look like oil's seeing a bit of upside. So maybe those shorts are not too far away anymore. I know we're looking at 72 for some downside, but yeah, not quite there yet, but not too far away. And if you do get that solid retest, I do think we can see some downside back into the low there at 66. So I'm liking oil. There's downside for this one. Again, in the higher time frames, there's still massive support there. So we definitely have to be careful of that. And that could be a turning point in the market. But a very bearish week last week. This was our candle closure last week. A lot of momentum there. It looks like the market has just topped out again with another lower high. And as we can see, a bit of a pattern of that happening. So naturally, expecting a push back into the lower end of things. Maybe a breakout as well, but at least a push in that direction. And again, you don't necessarily have to look to hold on it that far. If you catch a nice short here, could just ride it back into the low there and call it a day, and that could be a really nice trade within itself. And you can leave some small positions to run if you want to, hit this target here or hit this target there as well. That's up to you. But in terms of oil, I like the downside here. I like what we can do with it. And I like the level there at 72 as well. It's acted as really nice support and resistance in the past. So yeah, not too far away. Hopefully, maybe the next couple days or couple days, 1 or 2 days, we could be trading there. We'll see how everything looks. But again, the plan is to try and catch that next low high in this sequence as well, and catch some shorts. So yeah, oil is pushing. Not too far away from the opportunity. It does look like the indices may be going through a bit of a retracement as well. It's definitely S&P and US 30. NAS, what we're doing. NAS is seeing some downside too. NAS is just very, very close to the high at 2,600. That's where I'm still expecting price to end up at. So it's still very bullish on NAS, and NAS looks the best to me. If I'm looking to trade the indices, I'll focus my efforts on NAS because I'm still expecting us to come back and retest the high there. We're not there yet. So if we do see some downside, back into some support into these lows, or say we have a bigger push down into this area here, I would be looking at finding support and taking price back up again. Of course, nothing's 100%, so you got to manage your risk with every trade, but there's just a very high probability that NAS still does go and push to that high. So yeah, as we do push low with at least NAS 100, I'll be looking for the buys, specifically at these areas. So what's that, 19,700 and 2,100? If you can push back down there again and do like the buys. Equally so with US 30 and S&P, everything is still very bullish here. I know we're seeing some downside now, but again, with the condition of the market, you've got to anticipate it as being retracement most likely. So if you're looking for some buying opportunities, that's kind of the best way forward. So with S&P, that to me looks like a nice place for a long. We'll see how price reacts there. And US 30 as well, that looks like a nice place for a long as well. If you have a slightly deeper pullback, we can look at this area here too. But yeah, everything is still so bullish for the indices, so I would keep that bullish bias for now. Is anyone looking at trading the indices at the moment, or is currently in a trade? I would still be pretty bullish. I know we're at all-time highs and we're probably going to get that bigger pullback soon, but I'll never really look to try and short the indices and anticipate that because the trend is just up. So, why would I waste my efforts looking to try and short this? Rather, I can try and anticipate buys, which is more not what the market does. Same thing with US 30 as well, and same thing with NAS 100 too. Okay, here, George. So you're looking to sell Nasdaq along. Well, I'm very bullish, as I just mentioned. I'm very bullish with Nas, looking for upside on Nas. So I would be looking at buys around 2,100 or around 19,700. Both those levels look interesting. Just depends if the market's going to go for a bigger pullback or not. But in my book, everything is still bullish, still seeing higher highs and higher lows, still seeing momentum. Yes, we're coming a bit more corrective now, so we are losing some of that momentum, but I still think there's a pretty high chance we get back to the high there at 2,700. So I'd only be interested in the longs for now, and those levels of support look good. I can get some nice stop losses below, so I would be looking to buy NAS. But again, I wouldn't buy straight away. I would wait for us to react there, at least see some bullish indication, wicks, engulfing candles, and that's where I look to find the entry. Same thing with this level down there as well, and then take some upside from there. But yeah, looking to pick off some buys from support and expecting NAS to keep pushing higher. What's up, FX Wolf? Good morning. Good morning. Hope you're well. Yes, yen pairs are seeing some upside momentum. I'm not quite sold yet about the bullish higher things. I mean, Swiss yen is different because that one's kind of already broken higher. But I'm waiting for some breakouts with the yen pairs. Um, I've been taken out for loss for pound yen finally. That chestnut has finally cracked. But with like CAD yen, not so much pound yen anymore, but euro yen, I'm looking for breaks past these areas before I start looking to change that bias and be bullish. Because if you do see some breaks of this, then yeah, I would be interested in some longs and be interested in taking price higher. Same thing with CAD yen as well. Same thing with New Zealand yen. Same thing with Aussie yen too. If I can get to it, which I've already mapped out. So we're still in ranges here with the yen pair. So I'm not trying to get too carried away. As I was mentioning yesterday, I don't want to read too much into price action inside a range because we can get a really bullish candle, but then we just top out at the high, or vice versa. It's the breakouts I'm really interested in, which are yet to be seen, minus Swiss yen, because that one is actually breaking out to the upside. But for like Aussie yen, still within the range, New Zealand yen, still within the range, Euro yen, still within the range, CAD yen, still within the range as well. So if we can get some real nice momentum pushing higher or lower, then I can be looking at some setups there for the yen pairs. But nothing quite there for me yet. So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. Looks like Euro is really having a hard time breaking the high as well, as we can see. So yeah, it's just a range really. So we're going to be back and forth, back and forth. But if we commit, great. Then I can start talking about some nice buys. Okay, you're selling those to 20,000. Whereabouts is that? 20,000. Okay, that's right around there. Yeah, possibly. I'm sure you got your reasons for the sell. As I've just mentioned, I'm very bullish on that, so I'm looking for upside, but I don't know how far the pullback will be before we do see some upside. So that's why I've marked out both of these areas. But this is a really powerful level of support, which if I do see some indication, I think that's a nice place for a buy. Equally so, this level down here around 19,700, I think is a nice place for a long as well. Now, price may break through that area and go and hit your take profit. That could be the case. But in terms of bullish opportunities, these are the areas where I'd be looking for that and then anticipating buyers to step back into the market. So if price does break, great, you probably will see your take profit hit. If price was to get here and start to reject and look like it's struggling to break through, that might be a sign to maybe take some profit a little bit earlier, because with your target being just below that low, you do run the risk of price coming into the low, respecting and pushing up, which is what I'm anticipating. So I would suggest maybe I wouldn't want to suggest altering your take profit because I would assume you put it there for a reason. But I would suggest though keeping an eye on that low, because we definitely could turn around there, and it would be a shame for you to miss out on a winning trade just because price respected the support and pushed up again, and being so close to your take profit as well. So I would suggest looking at either maybe taking partials or trading a stop once price gets to these areas here, um, just as a precaution for your trade. But we are seeing some nice downside now, but I'm just still expecting this to be retracement for price to go higher, which is why I'm still really bullish on NAS and US30 and S&P as well. And the question is just how far will this pullback be until we continue that bullish momentum again. Okay, Pound Seed Chef. So yeah, as I mentioned with Pound Seed Chef, I just don't like the pair at all. If I'm looking to trade it and get involved, I would be waiting for price to push back into the high. Let me know what you're looking at as well, because I'm interested in it, and which time frames you're working on as well. Because to me, Pound Seed Chef just looks really hectic. I wouldn't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, really. But with pound CHF, if we can push back into the high up there, that could be something I can consider in terms of some shorts, because I know we're back at the high. I can find a stop loss above the high there as well, and possibly catch that swing with a nice big double top pattern there. So I am bearish on pound CHF, kind of looking for the continuation of that drop there, looking at this as a correction for another drop lower. So there is that idea there with pound CHF. But in terms of finding entries for that, it's just very, very difficult with how price is moving. I would really wait for price to push back into the high there, and then I catch a nice little sell. And that way I can maximize risk reward. But what we're doing in here is just a big range, and I would not want to get involved with that, at all. Yeah, I would not want to get involved with that at all. So yeah, really with pound CHF, I personally would avoid the pair, but if you're looking to get involved, I would say shorts around 1.133 look good, or at least better, I would say. And then targets, depending on how far you want to take it. Let's say you push up from there, that could be a nice target to have. All these lows could be targets as well, or you could look for the home run back into 1.105, which is a possibility too. But yeah, all in all, not really my favorite pair at the moment. Okay, looking for temporary buy. Okay. Where is that? 1.1309. Okay, to 1.1309. So that's back around here, around the high there. So okay, makes sense. Yeah, I mean I like it because we are putting these high lows in. It's just such a choppy pair. So I can't really trust structure in here, to be honest. So that's the only thing I don't like about it. If we were, trending well, the market was, flowing, so then the high lows I can trust them more and base trades around them. But because the conditions are so choppy, is why I want to stay away from that area. But yeah, if I'm going to look for the short, then of course price has to move there as well. So if we can put another high low in, kind of respect this trend line here, then yeah, the buys do look good, and I think your targets make a load of sense as well. Not looking for anything crazy. So yeah, I like it, but just not a big fan of pound CHF's price action at the moment. That's why I'm staying away. We're going down on GJs. Is pound yen seeing some downside? It is seeing some downside. Again, but the swings I'm looking for, a bearish candlestick on the 4 hours, not gonna change my bias or make me get too excited about anything. In terms of my bias and direction, I'm really waiting for solid daily candle closures to dictate everything, really. But yeah, we are seeing some downside resistance there. We are pushing down. But yeah, the key thing with pound yen now is that I'm not necessarily expecting a big swing to the downside anymore. I'm expecting a move to the downside because the market is really tired. You can see how corrective we are. So the push down is likely to come at some point. Whether it's going to come now or maybe we push a little bit higher first and then do it. Yeah, that's up to the market. But we are likely going to have a sell-off with pound yen. But the way I'm looking at it is that it probably will be for the short term, expecting price to find support at some point and probably push up again. Especially if the yen pairs are going to start trending too. All right, no problem. UCEFX. I hope I'm saying the name correctly there, but appreciate it. So yeah, that's kind of what I'll look at for pound yen in terms of the longs now. But yeah, we are seeing some downside of that area. We probably would have kind of faked out, faked above that resistance. So price can get back below it again. That could be a nice little sell on the intraday time frames. Something like that could open up, maybe short back into some lows here, and can call that a day. But yeah, I do think pound yen will have a big move downside. It's just the bigger move looks like it might be to the upside yet, but I'm still waiting for more confirmation in the yen pairs before I do anything. I'm not trying to jump the gun or force anything. But when you are looking at consolidations, it's very, very important that you focus your efforts on the extremes of the consolidation. Because if you're looking for opportunities within the middle, not that you can't find any good trades, but it's just that you're going to be so much better off if you can find some opportunities up at the high. Because if you look at how a consolidation works, price will create a high of the range and a low of the range, and then it will stay within those elements to a degree. You know, the market's not perfect. It might slightly break above it. And of course, you will have fake outs as well. Those are real things too. But if you're predominantly looking for your opportunities, you know, in these areas and these areas here for a range, then you're of course putting yourself in a really good place. If you're looking for entries in there, it's always going to be a bit difficult because not necessarily price will complete a full swing. We could, you know, mess around for a bit, move sideways a little bit inside the range as well. You're going to get more wicks, more random movement in that area. So it's always just very difficult to find consistent good trades in those areas. But if you're in this level or that level, you're just in a naturally better place and you can get some nice stop losses. Sure, maybe you could get faked out. That's, of course, a possibility. Nothing's perfect. But the thing is, if you do get faked out, which I mentioned before multiple times, say you're in a buy there, you do get faked out, you can always just look for the re-entry. Price comes back inside the range. You can anticipate the fake out, re-enter, and then capitalize on the move. And as long as the risk reward is positive, you know, 1 to 2, you make back the loss and then some. So it becomes a profitable, profitable trade setup regardless of the loss as well. So if you are looking at ranging markets, I highly, highly recommend just look. I mean, I know it's probably simple, and you're probably like, duh, yeah, well, of course I would buy the low and sell the high, but you'd be surprised. It can be quite tempting to trade inside the middle. You know, you see a big candle, a lot of momentum, you get kind of invested in a move which you shouldn't be looking at. And the beauty of it is, you know, if you're looking at ranges, all you have to do is just set alerts at the high and at the low and wait for those alerts to be triggered. And then that's when you look at the market. When the market is in between those alerts, you kind of just want to forget about it, forget about price, because it's probably no use to you. And I learned that the hard way as well. Miko Picasso. I did do art when I was younger. Why are so many people talking about pound CHF? What's going on with pound CHF today that people are so invested with pound Swiss? No one normally talks about pound CHF, but today we've had about 3 people mention pound CHF. If you want to have a look at pound CHF, scroll back about 4 or 5 minutes. You'll see the analysis to it. But I don't get it. What's going on with pound CHF? UCEFX. Yeah, I actually got my own prop firm, so very, very high. Elevatingtraders.com, check it out. But as a trader, my view of prop firm is a opportunity to leverage your skill set and attain capital which you didn't have before to accelerate your trading, because a lot of traders won't have sufficient funds to actually see growth or results that they want to see from trading. So prop firms can definitely fill that hole and provide that capital for you. But my biggest advice would be make sure that that you're confident with your trading and you're not just throwing away money, in a silly way, because a lot of people gamble and that becomes a very tricky cycle. So prop firms are very, very good for the retail traders. It provides you that stepping stone to really get your trading going. But yeah, make sure your trading is in a good place though. That's all I have to say about the retail trader, because if you're in a good place, you can really use it as a stepping stone to really accelerate your growth. Okay, so we'll go through some of the crosses, because I'm not really a big fan of some of the crosses. I've probably been saying that for the past month now, and the price action hasn't been really good, to be honest. So that's why I haven't really been looking to trade them. And when I mean crosses, I'm typically meaning like pound Aussie, euro Aussie, euro NZD, euro pound, the CAD pairs as well. They haven't been particularly great. Is anyone trading some of the crosses at the moment? I remember Holly won. I don't know if it's still on the stream, but I remember trading pound Aussie yesterday. Me personally, I'm kind of waiting for them to clean up. Pound CAD has been pretty good though. I haven't been looking at pound CAD, but the trend that we had to the upside was pretty nice. Yeah, I should have had some setups there, but really nice move. But apart from pound CAD, all the rest have been very, very choppy. And not a big fan of that, to be honest. Not a big fan. So yeah, I'm kind of waiting for them to do something. I mean, Aussie New Zealand dollar is just doing what Aussie New Zealand dollar does. So I'm not going to be looking to get involved with that at all. At all. NZD is still hanging on to that low. So yeah, I mean, again, in terms of quality, for me, momentum plays a big part in my trading. Hey, what's up, Lauder? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Okay, close with 20 pips yesterday. Not bad. Profit's profit. But yeah, I mean, as I mentioned with the crosses, they are quite choppy as well. So it might be a situation where you do see a bit of momentum in your favor, but we could easily top out and then price reverses against you. So yeah, probably looking at an active management on that trade is probably the best way to manage it. But yeah, as I was saying, momentum is a real big part in my trading. I want to see clear momentum and clear direction. If the market's kind of like this, which is showing some signs of momentum, but if it's doing it to both directions, that's not good, because then that means the market's confused of what it wants to do. I predominantly want to see momentum in one direction and then corrective behavior in the other, and there you get clean trends. And the thing about FX is that we don't tend to trend for too long as well. So there'll be brief moments where you do get some nice clear trends and you want to take advantage of it whilst it's there. And then the next few swings, we probably will lose that momentum and become a bit more corrective. But when those swings do present, that's the time to strike. But yeah, with some of these crosses, again, I can just kind of box off the whole price really, and just map that out as a big range. So yeah, I'm not really too interested with a market like this at all. As I said earlier, there could be some nice buys as we approach the low here. So if I just extend this a little bit further, say we're to come back down into the range, you can probably find some nice buys there. And you don't necessarily have to hang on to the trade for a full swing as well. You don't have to buy down here and hold it all the way up there for it to be a profitable trade. Even if you just catch a reaction of a quarter of the move like this, you're probably still looking at, depending on the entry, 1 to 2s, 1 to 3s, which are great trades. You can call it a day there. You can always leave some positions to run, but at least you know that you're buying in a sensible place. Again, nothing's perfect. It's going to eventually break out. That's the thing about a range. You buy low and sell high, but eventually the range will break out, and then you have to reanalyze and go again. Maybe you're looking at some retests for some continuations, or you're looking at opportunities in the breakout. So there will be that as well. But if you're focusing opportunities down here, up there, fundamentally you're buying and selling in the right areas. But yeah, this price action has been difficult. So yeah, that's why I have been staying away. It was actually 15 pips. Yeah, again, if it's in those conditions, you don't want to give it that chance because there will be times where you can there will be times where you can give the trade that room to breathe and then just let it run. But there will be times where if the market is just very, very choppy, it's probably best just to close it um, and not give it the room to kind of mess around because the momentum is not clearly in direction with pound Aussie, with how sideways it is. You don't want to be looking to hold on too long to anything really because it keeps reverting on itself. But if it was a heavily trending market, then you can give yourself the room it needs to probably play out. Because if the trend is going to continue, then expect it to push in your favor. But yeah, we're selling off pretty hard right now on the lower time frames. Um, yeah, I mean, longer term, I do have a bearish bias for pound Aussie. I'm still looking for a big drop, but there's just no trade opportunity for me to take advantage of that move just yet, and probably not for a while longer. Kind of looking at the main levels at these areas here. And then, of course, you've got the high there, and you've got the low here as well. So it looks like the market's kind of messing around inside of this area. And if you do get the break of the high, you can push up there, or the break of the low, you can push down there. So there could be a nice little break and retest opportunity either way. But yeah, in these areas, could be some nice buys down low, some nice sells if it's to push a little bit higher up. But then again, with myself, I try to focus on trending markets most of the time. All right, we'll take care, my man. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, that oil position can finally set up. As I know you've been waiting for it for definitely over a week now. So, yeah, your patience needs to be rewarded. So, yeah, with pound Aussie, if I was looking to get involved, it would have to be at those prices. So at least I can base my stops around it. Holy One, you looking to get involved with pound Aussie still, or are you kind of gonna leave it a little bit? Or you got other pairs in the pipeline that you're looking at? Not the biggest fan of pound Aussie at the moment, so I'm gonna let it be. And same with its partner in crime, pound entity as well, which looks like it's doing a really good job at respecting that high. As I said in my weekly analysis, if we do that well, I could see pound entity making a move back down into the low here. Because either we were to break through and continue back to the high, or reject it and continue back into the low. I'd watch out for this area though, because we can definitely find support there again and push back up again. So I would watch out for that. But if we are going to continue that bearish bias that I'm expecting on the higher time frames, then yeah, I do think we'll see that big drop. Same thing for pound Aussie as well. GU major. Are you asking for me to look at GU, or are you saying it's a major currency? Okay, you've got no setups. Yeah, I mean, that's probably good management then, Holy One. But yeah, you're not always going to have an opportunity at every point. I mean, for me, there's no opportunity for me to take right now. Like I said, I'm looking at Euro USD for some longs down at 1.079, which we might get to maybe today, late today, maybe, if price kind of keeps up this momentum. but or maybe tomorrow, some point this week, to be safe. But yeah, I'm looking at pounds. I'm looking at Euro USD buys. Nothing there yet. Have to stay patient. Silver and gold, I'm loving the buys here if I can get some pullbacks, but they're just looking like they're on run right now. So yeah, gonna have to be patient for that. But yeah, Euro USD, I'm eyeing up for some longs. Yen pairs, I'm not quite doing anything for them just yet. I'm waiting for some more price action, which maybe will happen this week as well. And then with CAD pairs, not interested. Crosses, not really interested as well. And CHF pairs, I think that boat has sailed. So only a really set few pairs I'm looking at. But then again, that can change very quickly. By end of the week, I could be looking at a lot more markets because I've got markets that I could look at if things were to happen. And if those things were to happen, of course, I'll be looking at them. But in terms of markets which I'm ready to trade, gold and silver buys, Euro USD buys as well. Oh, okay. Been looking at different setups that haven't really been working well. Back to 50 breaks. Well, yeah, I mean, you can have multiple strategies to be honest, because you could be looking at trading the 50 breaks as well. Because I was talking about this yesterday about having two strategies you're running at the same time if you've got the time for it as well. Because it could be a little bit difficult to run two strategies at the same time, especially if one's kind of more day focused and one's a bit more swing as well. Might be difficult to balance. Um, but yeah, if you've got strategies for swing and strategy for day, you can still trade the day whilst you're trading the swing. Maybe have a separate account for it to kind of keep it separated. Um, but yeah, if you're finding a lot of success in one of them, you probably want to stay consistent with that. But if you're finding success in the other one as well, it might just be a rough patch, which of course happens with any strategy. Um, you can keep that alongside with it, maybe in a separate account. But it really depends because I mean, with the 50, you will have a definitely a point where you'll go through a bit of a tough period as well, and then you might switch to the swing again, and that performs better. But yeah, sometimes having two strategies can work well, especially if they're kind of different in terms of their techniques. If like one is reversal, one is trend, or one is range, or the other one's breakout, that can be a really way to kind of offset drawdown. But yeah, for me, silver, gold, and euro look the best. But I'm just hoping that silver and gold don't just keep pushing. I mean, gold might do, but I think silver's got a good chance of pulling back. But again, that's not in my control, so I've just got to wait and see. Okay, 50 is my lifeline. Yeah, I mean, you can go back and see how it would have performed, how it would have played out if you've used it or not. Yeah, again, so I mean, a lot of traders are guilty of that. I know I am as well. Or I have been, which is do get a little bit complacent as well. And the things that kept you being very profitable and doing very well, you kind of switch it up and do something else because you're a bit more confident now and having a really good time in the market. So you're like, okay, I don't need to wait for that confirmation anymore. I can just take the trade. It looks good. And then you get humbled by it, and you're like, okay, yeah, I need be consistent with that confidence. I think that's a kind of natural part of any strategy. Really, is you test the strategy, start applying it, start seeing results, get too overconfident, start tweaking and changing or missing things out, get humbled, and then you stay consistent with whatever the strategy is. Okay, no breaks. Yeah, yeah. I would look back and see how they performed as well, how they performed, and then you can make the judge of that. But for me, I really like taking break and retest, and that's kind of where I take most of my trades. But I know that there are certain conditions where um, break and retest work well, and where break and retests don't work too well. Great slice of humble pie, yeah. Trust me, I've had that a few times as well, and I can bet a lot of people in the stream can relate too. Um, but yeah, break and retest are very, very powerful techniques, very simple as well, but you need to know when to apply them and when not to as well. I think a big thing is when people do apply the wrong strategy in the wrong time. Yeah, and the biggest thing with break and retest, especially if you're trading FX, FX, I don't know the exact number, but generally speaking, 70% of the time the market is consolidating. I think 30% of the time is trending, maybe even higher than that, maybe 75 and 25. So the break and retest, which is a trending pattern, if the market's pushing up and then it continues after the pullback and then retest the prior high or the prior low, that is a trending pattern. If the market's not trending, it won't be breaking and retesting the highs or the lows. So if you're trading a trending pattern in a market that ranges 30% of the time, if you kind of do the maths there, then 30% of the time of you trading should be sitting and waiting on your hands, waiting for those trending points to then add and take those break and retest opportunities. Because if over the course of a month, if you're taking trade after trade every day, and you're trading break and retest, then your results are not going to be very good. Because unless that month was a heavily trending month, which in FX comes and goes, then yeah, your results will be not very good. But there will be a period in the month where there will be nice trends. Of course, depends what FX pairs you're looking at. There will be a period where there's some nice trends, intraday or swing, and that's the time where you strike and you look for your break and retest. And I wanted to make that point because I'm looking at silver here for some buys, but now that price has finally broken the high, now it's really time to be looking for the break and retest. Now it's really time to look for those opportunities because momentum's here. We've got a trend and there's a lot of upside potential. So should the market come back for a retest, there's a very high chance it will be successful. Of course, depends for your entry and how it pullbacks as well. There's more elements to that, and you can add more layers to it as well. But in terms of generally speaking, there's a higher chance the break and retest will work out with this opportunity rather than if you're trading in a range or trading inside here as well. And the real kicker is that sometimes in the ranging markets and the choppy markets, you do get break and retest which do work, and they can be very deceiving because you take the break and retest in the wrong condition, and then it plays out, and then you're like, oh, okay, it did play out, so I don't have to wait for trending markets, or I can just trade it wherever I see it. And then that is what kind of keeps you in a really bad cycle, because now every break and retest you see, you look to trade rather than being specific and wait for the best quality. You're taking trades where there was no trade in the first place. So now that silver has committed to the upside, now's the time to wait for the break and retest. And again, nothing's 100% as well. Got to manage your risk. You got to, use stop loss, calculated risk as well. It's not that, okay, now things are trending, let me just bet my whole account on this break and retest. Absolutely not. But at least now I know the probabilities in my favor of it playing out. And you can find this out through back testing as well. Go back test, break and retest or whatever pattern you're looking at 100 times and see where it plays out the most. And then wherever it plays out the most, see what the conditions are, and then go test that another 100 times as well, and you see how the results look different. So yeah, and the same with gold as well. But gold has been trending, so that's where the break and retest has been good. Just unfortunate we actually didn't get a retest of these prior highs here, unfortunately. So now I'm looking at this break and retest, but there was a break and retest here which I missed out. Nice break and retest there. But now that price is in these conditions, it makes sense for the buys. Raheel, what's up? Okay, I'll take a look at pound for you. I was doing sloppy swings instead. It happens only when it happens, my man. It happens. I think the key thing is just reviewing over the trade and seeing where you went wrong, and and what you need to focus on next. Because if you can correct that, then you'll be back in winning ways again. And sometimes you need to go through a losing period and need to make mistakes to realize, okay, what was working for me actually was working for me, and I need to keep sticking with that until proven otherwise. Really, you need that humble pie, as you mentioned. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Gold. Yeah, pound USD is a bit more of an awkward one because it looks like we are starting to break to the down. Let me just clean the chart up a little bit. All my drawings. So it does look like the market is starting to break to the downside here. So if we do get a solid break to the downside and price does break that low here, then yeah, I would be pretty bearish with pound because at that point we're breaking structure. We've got the lovely low, high, higher low, higher high. But at this point, we're breaking the low, breaking structure, which is an indication of more downside. Yes, I do expect to see a pullback at some point, but we're probably going to keep falling and see a lot more downside for it. So what I'm looking for euro is pretty much the same thing as well, looking for a push up and then more downside. And if you take a look at the DXY as well, I'm looking at a push down and probably some more upside at a later point as well. So yeah, with pound, unless we make a miraculous recovery and break back above that descending channel, then there could be a really nice buy there. If not, then I'd wait for more downside and wait for that break of structure. It looks like it is breaking structure, but it's not clear cut one. It's not clear cut breaking structure at all. So a bit more downside. Then I'll wait for the shorts, maybe break and retest. I'll speak more on that when it happens because it depends how much downside we see, how big of a pullback as well. And then I can make that judgment. But if we do break to the upside there, then I'll speak about the buys. But if we do break lower, that's something we could be looking at, but we need a big break for that. You get one hefty trade and that's the pie. Yeah, again, that's the probabilities for you. You're not going to lose all the time, just like you're not going to win all the time as well. No matter how good of or bad of a trader you are, you're going to take a loss or a win at some point, because that's the probabilities of trading for you. So, and that's what I mentioned earlier. You could be doing the wrong thing and still get positive results, but eventually you'll be found out over the long run because if you're taking trades when you're not meant to and you're being ill-disciplined and you're not being consistent, the markets will eventually find you out. You might be doing well for a nice little period, but you will be found out at some point. Yeah, someone asked this question actually last week as well, lockdown. But yeah, I only take single entries with a stop loss for that entry. I will give myself a bit of wiggle room to work with. I don't really have very tight stop losses in terms of if I do take a trade, I'm giving myself some wiggle room above the candle, above the candlestick, or below the candlestick I enter from. So I don't stagger my entries or spread my entries around. I only take single entries with a stop loss, but I do give myself a bit of room for that buffer. But what I will say is that when I'm having a bias, say I'm bullish on a certain market, I will have maybe two levels I'm looking to buy from or two levels I'm looking to sell from. And then I'll look for entries at those levels. So instead of just staggering my entries as the market goes up, I'd rather take a trade. If I do get stopped out, look for the second area and take that trade. That way I can manage my risk well and calculate my win and loss a lot better. But I've never really used it before, so I can't really comment too much on it. So I would suggest you to go experiment with it, see how it goes. But in terms of me personally, I like having those singular entries. And then using that. But yeah, pound is looking pretty bearish. Looks like pound and euro is a lot stronger than AUD and NZD. Let me have a look at some of the crosses. I mean, Aussie CAD's looking pretty bullish, but I think CAD might be pretty weak as well. Yeah. And watch out for CAD this week as well. We've got Bank of Canada interest rate decisions tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, tomorrow, 2:45 UK time. Rates expected to drop, so probably going to see some weakness for USD as well. Yeah, I agree as well. I mean, I know some traders that do it well, but yeah, it would take a lot of practice, a lot of discipline. I think it's just so much easier just to have one entry and put a stop loss for that. You can manage your risk a lot better. You can still take partials if you want to close out smaller trades as well, so that's not an issue. And if you do get stopped down, that trade doesn't work, you look for your next area and you can base a trade there as well. But if you start staggering, there can be complications to that if you don't really know what you're doing. So that's why I said make sure you go really practice that and have some plans mapped out in before in terms of how you want to do that. But yeah, definitely if you're starting out, just having single entry and base off that is definitely a way to go. Of course, there's pros and cons to everything really. But I can only speak on what I do and how I trade, which is definitely single entries with stop losses. But as I said, I will have multiple areas I'm looking to buy and sell from. So if I do get stopped out of one area, it doesn't mean that my bias is incorrect. It just might mean that price might want to go against me a little bit further before it does go in my direction. So then I'll look for a re-entry if I do get that re-entry signal there as well. But that'll be up to the market to decide. Okay, the yen pairs are still struggling at the consolidation. Yeah, it's been quite choppy with the yen pairs for a period of time now. So I think a big breakout's probably going to happen soon. And then we'll be talking about the yen pairs in a lot of detail. Yeah, I agree. Hurley well. Again, I know traders who use it and they can act well with it, but if you don't know what you're doing, it can really mess you up because there will be a point where you're like debating: should I add another entry? Should I add another entry? Um, what you could do is, okay, say if you're going to trade with one lot, then you could just open like a point two, a point two, a point two until you get to that one lot, and then you just don't open any more trades. Then you need to make sure you have stop losses for each 5 positions, or at least have something where you're going to close the trade as well. So yeah, it's a bit more complex, and you can use it well, but I think it, at least in the beginning anyway, it will do more harm than good. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Like I said, as long as you kind of put practice, I mean, whatever you do in terms of trading, as we mentioned in the stream, multiple times, whatever you do in terms of trading, whether you use this method or that strategy or whatever time frame, you can make money in millions of different ways. But you have to make sure that you're fully equipped and you're fully tested, and you know exactly what you're looking for. If you can tick those boxes, then have at it. And as you said, you do what works for you, and something else might work for someone else a little bit better. But I would never say something is the wrong way, though. I mean, there are some wrong ways, but if you have a method behind something at least you've tested, then no one can take that away from you. I mean, yeah, as I said for gold, just looking for pullbacks. Gold is pretty much the analysis for me anyway. Is pretty much self-explanatory. Looking for pullbacks, looking for upside, and looking just play the trend really. I've got a clear as day level, which I'm looking to buy from 2680. If I can get a pullback to that area, I do think that's a nice place for a buy, and where we can see a lot of upside from. Um, and again, looking for the same thing on silver as well. Silver is just really going for it. Hopefully, it can pull back soon. But yeah, gold. I mean, gold's pushing as well, to be honest. But yes, gold looking for a retest of the 2680, and then I'll have an open take profit and just look to trail and seeing how far we can take it. I have marked out some of these psych levels: 2750, we're not too far away, and 2800. Again, not too far away. These are probably levels which price could be looking to work towards, and maybe you could use them as targets as well. I'll just be trading stops. I don't want to put a cap on gold really. We don't know how far this is going to move. We could see a colossal move next run, and you don't want to cap that really in these conditions. So yeah, gold for me, self-explanatory. Looking for that pullback and that retest. Hopefully, we might see it maybe later this week. And then I'll start looking for some entries. And of course, silver, literally the same thing as well. Retest of the high, looking for some buys there. And then I'm looking to take price back into 35, 36. We've got a big psychological level at 40. But let me not get too ahead of myself. But yeah, the point is that there's a lot of room for us to run into. Yeah, of course, look down management, because again, we're all trading the same charts as well. If you buy in the right place and the market goes up, if you sell in the right place and it goes down, for whatever reason you did that, um, doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It's just about getting in the right areas, really. But as you mentioned, if it works well for you, then keep at it, and keep getting better at it as well. What's up, Tony Gold? Hope you're doing good, my man. Yeah, Holy One. You want to get involved in gold and silver? I highly recommend. There's a lot of opportunities on them. A lot of opportunities in gold and silver. I mean, I didn't trade them originally, and for the first couple of years of trading, then I started trading gold, and I added silver later on. And I have to say, I really like the markets. Oh, okay. Silver and oil. Yeah, I don't trade oil, but I do trade silver. And actually, low key prefer silver to gold a little bit. I mean, they're very similar, but I have a bit more success with silver, so I prefer it a little bit better. But very similar markets, and predominantly speaking, I'm looking at buys. But yeah, you can see the momentum we're seeing on the higher time frame. This is the monthly chart for silver. You've got the all-time high over there, and it does look like we've just broken out of this consolidation phase, and now we're probably going to see the next big leg. So this big move we had over here from that low to the high, which is about 17.868. We could be seeing that happen again, which would take us to about roughly about 35.2, 35.3. Because I was kind of expecting this continuation to happen there again. Almost at the height as well. Maybe when we get into these areas, we might start to see some resistance again. So yeah, I think silver's just on one now, and of course, longer term, expecting it to push into all-time highs. But yeah, we're not going to capitalize on that big move in one go. But for now, that is the idea. But yeah, I highly recommend looking at silver, especially if you trade gold. I'll look at silver because number one, gold and silver, they kind of do the same thing anyway. So you can kind of use them to your advantage. You can look at gold, look at silver. If you're looking to buy gold and sell silver, then you've probably got an issue there in terms of the analysis. But if they both line up in the same way, you can probably find some nice trades with both of them, see which one looks the better in terms of the risk to reward, the opportunity, and then you can just pick that one to trade because they are pretty heavily correlated too. So normally when I've got an opportunity on gold, I've got an opportunity in silver, but I would just pick the better one. In this case, they both look equally as good. So it's just basically whoever pulls back first, really, for now, whoever pulls back first and gives me the opportunity is the one I'll take. But yeah, and then indices are a little bit different. And Bitcoin is very interesting because it did sell off a little bit yesterday. Really strong close. Nice close in the weekly, and that could still take us higher up. But the key thing I still want to see is the breaking retest of this resistance here around 68, 69K, because we have broken out of this descending channel here. As I was mentioning yesterday, I wasn't quite convinced. I think Ethereum saw a bit of downside as well. So I'm not quite convinced with Bitcoin here. We're definitely teasing the idea of a potential breakout. And if that is the case, Bitcoin could completely fly. But yeah, Bitcoin completely fly, but I would wait for that 70K to break first, and then we can look for some retest. And then the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit because, as I keep mentioning, we could see something like this happen again out the top of that, and that could take us all the way to 100K. Yeah, pretty easily. So if you can find some pullbacks, there's a long way for us to go. But if this is going to be a big fake out and price is going to climb back inside that range, then we could see a push all the way back down to 52K as well. So Bitcoin's still in that limbo, still kind of teasing the idea, are we breaking out? Is it fake out? Can we, I would wait for 70K to break, and that will kind of be the clear picture. Otherwise, I'm not convinced. Okay, that's completely fine as well. I mean, I'm a big fan of looking at multiple pairs. Of course, you want to do it in a strategic way. You don't want to be just looking everywhere and anywhere. I look at over around 30 pairs, but I will create watch lists of between 4 and 6 pairs really per week. So within a given week, I'm not looking more than 6 pairs. And sometimes it's very few. Like right now, I'm only looking at around 3. So even though I'm looking at a bunch of pairs, I'm only focused on between 4 and 6 of them. So that way I can really pick my setups well. And because the only downside really with trading with pairs, a set few pairs, like a set 2, 3, 4 pairs, is that there will be periods where that pair is just very, just not ideal for you to trade based on your strategy. So there will be times where you take less trades and you'll sit back a little bit more because the conditions aren't great and it's not optimal for your trading strategy. And that's when you sit back a little bit more. And of course, there'll be times where things are looking really good, and then you kind of put your foot on the accelerator and really take advantage of that. But the beauty of trading a lot of markets is that there's normally always a good opportunity on the cards. You just have to pick the right market, of course. Um, and then again, if you focus on a set few, you become a bit more accustomed to them. So you might have a bit more flexibility to your game. So there's pros and cons both ways, but that's the reason why I trade a lot of markets, because I can pick and choose which one's the better one, especially as a swing trader. Day trading, of course, there's more opportunities there, so you can get away with it. Okay, even in the stock market, didn't know that, Holy One. You even look for opportunities in the stock market as well. Yeah, lockdown, maybe a big move is on its way. Maybe a big move is on its way for Bitcoin. As I said, I'm not convinced just yet, but if we are going to get that big move, it's going to happen regardless. It doesn't need to wait for me to be convinced it will happen. And if it does happen, it's of course going to clear the high there. And that's what's going to make me anticipate more upside. Then we can look for some retests around 70K. And then, yeah, I'll be looking at upside and expecting that big breakout. But because it hasn't been convincing, we haven't really cleared the high yet, I can definitely see price breaking back in. We'll see what happens with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's one of those markets where, if people are excited and expecting a breakout and just buying because the market's bullish, it can definitely remain bullish and keep pushing. Um, it's one of those markets where everyone believes the hype, therefore it keeps going up. So if we do see a big candle, it just gets more people excited, more people look to buy. But yeah, in terms of the technicals, at least, I do want to see that level cleared first. Okay, okay. That's what you spoke about McDonald's. I thought that's just like maybe a side interest of yours why you mentioned McDonald's. But yeah, that's interesting. I don't know many people, especially in the UK, that trade stocks. Hey, what's up, Ben? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Okay, you close Aussie CHF for break even, but a little bit positive on the swaps, not bad at all. No way, retire from CHF pairs forever after that one. Yeah, it's probably scarred you for life there. Bit of PTSD. Yeah, yeah. If you're looking for big moves, 'cause I know you're looking for a big move in Aussie CHF. Yeah, you're looking for a price to push. I think 0.59. It was above 0.59. So you're looking for a big swing there. Aussie CHF. Yeah, this thing is not going to go in one day. It's going to take its time. All you have to do is look back at the previous price action. There's some nice swings to it, but there's definitely some meaningful consolidations. Like, for example, this looks like a relatively nice move, but this here is a consolidation that lasted for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it broke out on the 11th day. So let's say you caught a nice buy here, things are looking good. You did have to wait 11 days for price to recontinue that momentum. And that 11 days, if you're really focused on the market, you'll be the market push up, you'd be excited, push down, unexcited, and your emotions can definitely flay from one side to the other. So these consolidation, although they do look small, you don't really look at them in much detail. When you're sitting in one, then you focus on it, and it does feel very, very painful. So I definitely hear you on that. But that's the reality of CHF pairs for you. Um, you don't have to trade them. They do tend to chop around more. Um, but they do have some nice opportunities. You look back, there are some nice swings there, but even this kind of slow move down, even though it's slowly moving down, that probably takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That takes 22 days. So let's say you got to show up at the high, you're looking good. You would have stuck in this channel here for 22 days before you do see the continuation. 22 days, that's a month because it doesn't count weekends either. So that's about a month you're sitting there. So they do have their chops. And if you're looking for the big swings, it's going to take time. So that's definitely the downside of it. But hey, you were long, so you did gain some positive swap. Yeah, I agree as well, lockdown. You're going to sit on your hands a bit more, but as long as you're not losing money, which is definitely the most important aspect, then you can't really complain. And then when the times do arise when you're supposed to put your foot on the pedal, you just want to be there to take your trades without hesitation. Okay. So you don't trade it that often. Okay, fair enough. Boeing and Total Petrol. Okay, interesting. They're all right, Ben. They're all right, Ben. I can relate, my man. That's what happens when you look for swings on CHF pairs or the crosses in general. Well, just swing trade in general, really. It can take some time because there will be trades that move very well and there'll be trades that move horrendously. Just like with day trading, but with day trading, you find out in the next 2, 3 hours if the trade doesn't work out rather than 2, 3 days or maybe at worst 2, 3 weeks even. So that's the real benefit of day trading, which even as a swing trader myself, I would say if I was to day trade, it'd be because of that reason, because I can take a quick loss or a quick win. I don't have to sit forever. Especially then you can just completely avoid dealing with swaps too. So that's the biggest pull or biggest attraction for me for day trading. Basically, just give you the ingredients. I know. Never seen someone that's going to pretend it's going to break out so many times. Well, yeah, C-Chef is definitely not for everyone. But yeah, if you're going to focus on like the majors, like the dollar pairs and the yen as well, then you're gonna have a little bit more fun. The market's going to be a bit more smooth. But USD pairs have their consolidation. Let's not forget about that too. They do have their moments where price action looks a little bit horrendous, but they're just a little bit cleaner and they don't kind of chop as much. I mean, this is USD CHF, so it's still CHF currency actually. So let me go to pound USD. So it's going to be a lot cleaner, but they will have their consolidation as all markets will do. You're not going to miss out completely. But yen pairs, I think out of all the FX, they just move the cleanest. Yeah, 100%. You look at price action on GJ and you kind of zoom out. Look at if I was going to pick one pair to trade, it probably would be pound yen, to be honest, because the swings are just so clear. And when it moves, it does really move. But then again, even GJ has its consolidation as well. So definitely not perfect. But yeah, if you're going to focus on markets for the momentum, USD pairs, yen pairs is the way to go. And still, there should be enough opportunities where you can find the trade you're looking for. So you closed GA because it shot up and came back. Yeah, it happens. And the funny thing is, Ben, now that you've closed the trade, watch Aussie CHF have a crazy move to the upside. Watch Aussie CHF be so bullish now. Now that you've closed it, it's like, okay, Ben's out the trade. Let me now be very bullish. The market's funny like that sometimes. But I tell you what, though, if you do go and like back test some of the CHF pairs, one of the metrics to maybe record is trade duration, which is actually a metric that I do record on my back test as well. Especially when I'm swing trading and back testing my swings, is trade duration, because if you can get like an average trade duration of how long it lasts, then if you know that information beforehand, you'd be a lot more able to hold on to it. Say, for example, if your trade duration average for your winning trades is like 6 days, then you know that, okay, on average, I'm spending 6 days. Maybe in some of the extreme periods, I'm spending 12 or 15 days. And maybe the other extreme, I might be done within the same day if I catch a really big move. But on average, 6 days is what you're trading in. So if you're prepared for that, if it's day 8 or day 9, you're like, it's okay. I know my average. I'm expected to do this. But it's if you jump into a trade expecting it to play out in like 2-3 days, and then it's day eight or day 9, then you're like driving yourself crazy, pulling your hair out a little bit. So if you do back test, record trade duration as well. Day trading, you can do that as well, but that predominantly you're in and out with the same day. Maybe it lasts to the next day. So worst case scenario, you're holding it overnight a little bit. But swing trading, you definitely want to put that into perspective, because it's very different from when you've got the replay tool out and you click and play and you're seeing all the candlesticks move. But each one of these candles is worth 1 day, and you have emotions back and forth within that day, and you don't really take that into consideration. That's true. How many failed breakouts? That could be a whole trading plan within itself. Record how many failed breakouts there for that pair. If the market has on average multiple failed breakouts, that could be a trade each time potentially. So that could be turning into a whole separate strategy for that CHF currency. Really? Okay, it takes longer than 1 hour. Not going to work. 50 minutes, 25 max. Yeah, that could be a nice little metric to look at as well, to see, okay, if the longer I hold a position, is it more or less likely to play out? Yeah, that could definitely be something to experiment with, because if it does take a lot longer, and then you can see there's a correlation between break even or loss, then it's probably worth you to exit that trade at a specific time. So that makes sense as well. Well, but CHF looks the same also. Yeah, I mean, CHF is another CHF currency as well, so it's going to be a bit more choppy too. But I like CHF because it's a JPY pair as well. So the JPY pair gives it its trending. Because if you look at CHF I'll take a look at the immediate price action in a moment. But look at this trend for CHF since 2020. This has just been moving. So I like CHF because it's a JPY pair. So it's really giving us that driving force there. I mean, we're coming up to some places where we might be looking to sell off soon, but in terms of the trend, you cannot complain with this market. And yeah, things are looking pretty bullish now. So we might be looking to push back to the high. I say that because we've just used this as support, and now we're continuing up. So I'm seeing consistent high lows here with Swiss yen. So really what I want to be seeing next is, let's say if we can commit above that high, see some more momentum. Something like that could be something I'll be interested in. I need a big breakout for me to look for the buy. I'm not going to look for the buy just yet, but something like that is what I'll be after. And yeah, I'll be looking to follow that trend, seeing how far I can take it. I doubt it will be all the way to the high there in one go, but the possibility is there, especially for trail stop. And yeah, I'll be expecting more upside. I think I'll keep an eye on something like that around 176. Brief consolidation, but the market might find some noise around there, and then we might eventually get to the high. But yeah, Swiss yen to me still pretty bullish, so I think we can see a bit more upside there. Fade every impulse, free money. See, that's an emotional man there. Yeah, it does look like with the yen pairs. That's what I was mentioning at the start of the stream. It does look like yen pairs are kind of gearing up for a big pop to the upside. And I'm going to wait for that to happen. I'm waiting for the big push to the upside to happen, and then I will look at some pullbacks and some opportunities for some longs. Because yeah, maybe the yen pairs are slowly getting ready for some big moves to the upside. And if that's the case, I want to see some big breakouts, and then I'll switch my bias around to bullish, and start speaking about the longs. But yeah, I need those big breakouts first. Yeah, EJ same thing as well. But yeah, guys, we have come up to the end of the stream. If you guys have found it useful, enjoyed it, and oh, that was a big stutter. Entertaining, that's what I meant to say. Please be sure to show some love. Drop a like on the stream. It does really help out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And of course, hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Guys, make sure you head over to the Elevating Traders Discord channel. Completely free to join. Discount opportunities are there if you're looking to purchase a challenge. So make sure you're in the Discord so you don't miss out on that. And of course, you can join discussion, share trading opportunities, chat to other traders as well. So make sure you're in there if you are interested. But guys, really appreciate you tuning in. Of course, I'll be live again tomorrow. Same time as always, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. UK time. If you're free, I'll see you there. But guys, thanks for tuning in. Have a good Tuesday. I'll catch you all in the next one.